you how to learn to control the trajectory of the golf ball. You know, these days when you watch the players compete in the major championships, particularly the US Open and the British Open, you'll notice that the guys need to control their golf ball a lot more. There's no more of this just flighting the ball up in the air. So, you know, if you want to learn to control the golf ball in adverse conditions, you really need to have something in your training that allows you to work on that. And that's exactly what we do here at the Australian High Performance Golf Academy here with our students, is we have and we use what we call our shot framer. Now, our shot framer allows us to set it up in any way we can. So if we have a closer look here, you can see how we have the 9 windows. So we have 3 windows at the top, 3 windows here through the center, and 3 windows through at the bottom here. Now basically what that allows me to do is it allows me to play left to right shots, right to left shots, and it also allows me to control the trajectory of my shots. So if I was going into, say, a tournament where I knew it was going to be windy, then I would really be training on hitting a lot of low shots and training that well and truly before I got to the tournament, not just a couple before I got there. So, you know, 12 months before the tournament starts, I'd really want to be grooving that action and being able to hit that nice low flighty golf shot. Now the great thing about our shot framer here at the Academy is I can move it down, move it up. So in other words, I can narrow the windows, I can narrow my target area. Now that is a very good thing for you to be able to do, is to really narrow down your target area. You know, look, a lot of players, particularly good players, what they do is they'll see the trouble, but then they'll focus more and really narrow down on their target. And then they'll just go ahead and play the shot. Whereas the average player really struggles to narrow down that target and cannot get the trouble out of their head, so their focus is more on the trouble. So what we're going to do here is play a lot of these shots using our shot framer, and I just want to get you to see how I can set up a very deliberate training session and be able to work on that and work on that hard and prepare myself to hit the low flighted golf shot. Okay, so here we are. We've got the down the line view, so you can see the shot framer a little bit more in detail right there in front of us, the 9 windows. And you notice also that I've got this line stretched out here. Now this line here is going to help me with my alignment. Whenever you're doing a training session, you should never ignore the fact of alignment. You know, it's a fundamental, it's very important, so really make sure that you're always working on your alignment. The other thing that we find here is when we first get players to set up on our shot framer and with the straight line here, is what they see is very different. In other words, players can sometimes set up here and their target will appear to be in the left window, and other players, their target will appear to be in the right window. This is just an optical distortion, because what really happens with these players is if they set up and they actually see their window more to the left, or their target more to the left of where it actually is, then they will tend to hit a lot of pull shots, a lot of shots to the left, and vice versa. So always make sure that you lay down some shafts or lay down a line if you have one to really work on your alignment. The other thing here, as you can see, is I've added one other thing, and I've got that green line, just that green hockey strap just hanging right down through the center box. That really allows me to focus down on my target. So I'm focusing more and more down on my target, very much looking through that center box. Now when I stand back here and look through the center box, really what I see is I see a red flag which is just on the left side. I see the 150 marker there, which is just slightly to the left of the green line, and that's all I want to look at. So I'm really focusing and narrowing down my target zone. And I suggest you do the same thing in training. Now if you don't have the something similar to a shot framer here, what I suggest you use is just use some trees, and use trees visually on your driving range, but make sure you train trajectory and the flight of your golf ball, and learn to do that and learn to control the golf ball a lot more. You know, if you look at the Australian players on the world tours, you notice that the Aussie players can really shape their ball well. Now the reason we can do that is because we learn from a very young age. There's a lot of wind in Australia, the greens get very hard, so the Aussie players really learn to shape that golf ball, control the flight of the golf ball. So therefore, when you see Australians play in adverse conditions, it's no surprise to see them pop up there right at the leaderboard. Jeff Ogilvy, a perfect example, just a couple of weeks ago in Hawaii. And, you know, no greater example than Greg Norman in last year's British Open. You know, Norman, 54 years of age, and just controlled the ball beautifully. Basically through the first 3 rounds, started to get a little bit more flight on his shots in the last round, but through those first 3 rounds, he really controlled the ball well. And one shot that really comes to mind for me is early in the 3rd round, when Norman only had about 150 yards, and Norman just, as he described it, chipped a 5-iron. Now by controlling that ball, kicking that ball under the wind, he had total control of that ball. Let's just think about that. He's probably only a 9-iron distance, 8-iron distance, but he chose to hit a 5-iron. So he's worked hard on that through training, and then he's able to bring that out in the intensity of an actual tournament. So I suggest you do the same thing. What I'm going to do here for you now is I'm just going to hit a shot. I'm going to set up, and I'm really going to try and knock this right through that centre window. So, in actual fact, I'm going to try and hit that Occy strap. Setting up, making sure I'm nicely aligned to it, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Now what I would do is I would use 10 balls. It would be a 10-ball drill, and you know, if I really wanted to work on the shaping of the golf ball, then I would play 10 balls into each window at the different trajectories. So you got 9 shots working on that and really learning to shape that golf ball. So here we go. I'm going to knock it through that centre window there for you. Just go through my routine, get myself nicely lined up, and then just try and hit that centre window. And what I would do is I would just keep doing that now for another 9 shots. 10 shots is good because then I can sit down, review, analyse, work on that particular shot. You know, what you'll find is when you do these shots, you'll find that a couple of the shots you're very good at because they fit the pattern of your golf swing. Other shots you need to do some work on. So work on the trajectory of your golf ball, learn to control the golf ball, and then you will start to learn to control the weather.